Iran has been the leading sponsor of terrorism, and their pursuit of nuclear weapons threatens the civilized world.
Hold on. Who is Donald Trump to talk about the civilized world? He can't be referring to the country that has over 4,000 nuclear warheads, 800 military bases around the globe, and which has been at war for 222 years out of the 239 years in its history. A country whose legacy includes hundreds of years of slavery and mass genocide against indigenous populations. That's what passes as the civilized world? What is civilized about being the country with the highest rate of incarcerated people in the world? What is civilized about a society that spends trillions of dollars on war but can't provide shelter to 500,000 of its people? What is civilized about dumping toxic waste next to poor indigenous, brown, and black communities and then creating policies to discriminate against and police them? There is nothing civilized about kidnapping children from their parents, throwing them in cages, denying them medical care, and letting them die under the custody of a US governmental institution. There is nothing civilized about a president instituting Muslim bans, surveilling communities, emboldening white supremacists, or inciting hate against vulnerable populations every single day online. Our uncivilized wars are connected to militarized racism, discrimination, and hate crimes we see here at home. The US has long categorized populations as civilized or uncivilized, as the basis for invading countries and bombing cities. The uncivilized become expendable, worthy of death, and all too easily ignored. As prominent intellectual Edward Said once said, every single empire in its official discourse has said that it is not like all the others, that its circumstances are special, that it has a mission to enlighten, civilize, bring order and democracy, and that it uses force only as a last resort. For decades, people across the Middle East have been devastated by the US ventures in the region. Through war, military occupations, propping up dictators, imposing sanctions, and fueling civil wars, the US has done enough damage to create economic, environmental, and mental health crises that will last generations. As an Arab and Muslim person who grew up as part of the post-9/11 generation, I have seen throughout my entire life how US imperialism, military occupation, and racial profiling has devastated families and communities at home and abroad. As a Palestinian who goes back and forth between the US and Palestine, I have witnessed how my family in the West Bank has been directly impacted by a decades-long military occupation, an occupation that's sustained by more than $30 billion in US taxpayer money. There is nothing civilized about depriving populations of their freedom. The World War III memes people were jokingly posting on Twitter are a reality for people across the region, from Syria to Yemen, from Palestine to Iraq, from Afghanistan and Iran to Pakistan. For those of us living across the US, it's on us to support and amplify the demands of millions of young people across the Middle East who are calling for freedom, justice, and self-determination. It's on us to take a staunch anti-war stance and protest all forms of militarism. And it's on us to organize, go out into the streets, and demand that the United States become part of the civilized world.